2023? Nah.
Yeah. But so I was getting all the packages ready to ship out today. And by the way, Vezerin, if you come in, I need your address. I looked around. I don't have it. I forgot the name you mailed it under. Sorry, but I need your address. I got 2 boxes to send you. And I was like, okay, now it's time to get ready for the auction. And I always sit down and watch a movie. And I said, hey, wait, you know, that Five Nights at Freddy's, let's check that thing out. And I got it. Have you seen it? Did you watch it?
I haven't been able to find it on the old high seas.
Okay, well, I will.
I glanced at a couple reviews from it. From what I could tell, they were fairly mixed reviews. I heard Jeremy Johns said it was bad, but Grace Randolph sang its praises. So
I don't go with Grace Randolph anyway. But here's the thing: I am a person who has no idea what this game was. I thought it was a game where you're working a security camera, and every time you're not watching one of the robots, they're coming closer, and then they're coming closer, and then they're coming closer, and you kind of got to catch them all to stop them and survive the night. That's what I thought it was. So I'm watching this, and my first thought was, okay, I like the fact that they're giving me some backstory. They're giving me some characterization here so I can actually care for what is going on. I'm going to do this so that Five Nights at Freddy's is bigger there. So I was actually enjoying certain aspects of it, but like that, it was fun. Okay, cool. And I'm waiting for this thing that I heard of. I'm waiting for Five Nights at Freddy's. He's a security guard. Okay, they're moving in, and he's got to survive the night. I'm still waiting. I finished the film. I'm waiting for that to happen. This, whatever what I was described to me, what the game was, this is not it. This is very much a guy is trying to save his, to find out who kidnapped his
marriage.
Brother. No, it's a brother.
His brother.
He's a security guard. He's trying to find the person who took his brother 10 years ago or something like that. And he's obsessed with it. He gets a job as a security guard at Freddy's. And what ends up happening is his younger sister, about looks like 20 years younger than him. But he takes her to work at Freddy's, and the robots there get an interest. And now he's got to protect her from the robots because they want to take her. And it was that's it. It was very plain, very straightforward kind of thing as far as that was concerned. The robots, in all honesty, they were kind of inconsequential to the whole thing.
Yeah, again, second or third hand at this point, but that is what I had heard, that they loaded it down with all sorts of other stuff that wasn't material to the games. And so people were...
I thought, and I was thinking, how can this movie be better? How can we make this this movie more exciting and more like what I heard? Once again, I may be all wrong about the video game. I've never played it. But if it was like that, you have a central room at Freddy's, kind of like if you've ever seen a roller rink. I know I'm going way in back there, guys.
Or a Chuck E. Cheese, which I think is the closer.
It was like Chuck E. Cheese, but go with the roller rink thing for me for just a little bit. In a roller rink, a lot of the ones I used to roller skate a lot. I was really good. Now, I'm not saying I could do it now. I'm 40 years older and 200 pounds heavier, but I was really good on skates. But most of the roller rinks had a kind of like a DJ booth in the middle of the rink, and he could watch around, and he's controlling all the lights and everything. And I thought that's what I would make it. It would be a central building that the robots were trying to get into, and he's trying to stop them from entering, or and hey, his sister could still be there. But overall, it was it wasn't anything special.
See, what I might have done had you given me this premise to work with is I would have made it basically a bottle movie where you'd be focused on mostly he's the security guard, and you could have him have his, emotional turmoil or the thing with his brother missing and so on and so forth. But you could have that with, like, say, him looking at pictures of him while he's on duty or something, or maybe looking through papers while he's on duty or something. But you make the animatronics similar to the weeping angels from Doctor Who, which I know is a reference you're probably not going to get.
Not at all.
And then you actually, what I would do is I would have an almost like Law and Order-esque title sequence that would be like day 1, day 2, day 3 throughout the movie. And so you'd basically have 5 short films of each night this guy is surviving being a security guard, and with each passing night, more and more weird or bizarre stuff happens.
I'm wondering if
that's what
I wonder if Willy's Wonderland. I wonder how much damage that did to this movie. Because did you ever see that? It was oh nope, I gotta put it up like that because I disappear there. Have you ever seen that movie with Nick Cage?
I don't think I ever saw it. I remember hearing a lot about it.
It was a lot of people said it was very much like the game Five Nights at Freddy's, and it was wild. It really was. And it was, I mean, look, there's these days, I love Nick Cage's career because you have no idea what kind of Nick Cage you're going to get. In this case, it was quiet Nick Cage, but unruly Nick Cage. So he's like, he's the same thing. He's got to clean up everything. And every hour or so, this big killer robot tries to kill him. I like your idea of somebody surviving 5 nights in the, but that's the whole thing. What fucking 5 nights? That wasn't even there. They went home and they were like, oh, okay, fine. At one point, somebody said, don't take your sister there. Don't take your sister. You actually have to put yourself into danger over and over again for this movie to work the way they had it.
It's one of those, this premise could have almost worked better as like an anthology where each night is its own trial to get through, and then post hoc at the end you could like wire them all together with there was an underlying mystery going on, or you could Easter egg it throughout and have him, drawn deeper and deeper into the madness as he goes. Almost like a horrific or serious version of Night at the Museum is sort of what my thought process would be. But then again, I don't have any more knowledge of the games necessarily than you do, just a little bit more.
By all means, check out the movie, and you and I could do an actual review, and just not like this, but find out what your thoughts are. What we'll compare. Because I'm like I said, everything's going to come here now. If people aren't, if I can't get YouTube to show my videos on my other channels anymore,
the other channels are dead, so you might as well consolidate into the one most successful one.
This channel's dead too. Might as well just put them here and do it. That, by the way, is exactly what YouTube tells you don't do, because you're supposed to niche down. You're not supposed to talk about movies. You're supposed to talk about horror films or action movies or Nora Ephron movies or something like that. I mean, they tell you to niche down to the point where you are only talking. I could talk about comics, but I'm only going to talk about the black and white ones, or I'm only going to talk about Deadpool comics or something like that. It's like that. But
the problem is a lot of the most famous YouTubers didn't do that, and they got millions upon millions of subscribers out of it. So what the hell does YouTube
the times
know?
changed. Let's say here's best part of it, says cartoons. Without Nick Cage, that was what we would have gotten, a boring movie. I love Nick Cage's career, and he actually described, I saw him, I don't know if you guys ever seen these, they're these GQ things. They talk to the actors, actresses, directors, so forth, about their movie career, which that's what I'm interested in. God bless you, you crazy freaking libs. I don't give a about your, I hope everybody's okay. But what I care about, my relationship with, say, Tom Hanks, is that if I hire him to entertain me, I want him to entertain me. And I consider every time anybody buys a ticket, you're hiring that person. You're hiring those people. And it depends, of course, on how you see the movie. I don't care who's in it. If you buy a ticket to a Steven Spielberg movie, you're hiring Steven Spielberg.
You're buying Steven Spielberg, yeah.
Yeah. You don't refer to Catch Me If You Can as a Tom Hanks or a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. That's a Spielberg film. Same with Minority Report. And that's got Tom Cruise in it.
Now, mind you, there are also times where you do go specifically, for example, because Nick Cage is Nick Caging the crap out of everything.
Here's the thing. Willy's Wonderland, I would highly recommend over Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's should have been as balls out. I really think that maybe that movie hurt this one. Like, they were like, well, wait a second. What if we have them fight one robot at a time, then it's the same as Willy's Wonderland. Then do it. Then fucking do your look. I like Deep Impact. I like Armageddon. Both of them are shit films, but they're both fun. You put them together, you know. They're like Willy's Wonderland. What we're talking about, it could have been, is so much more entertaining than what it was. It wasn't. And here's the problem. Here's my biggest problem. It's not bad. It really isn't a bad film. It is absolutely okay. This is so fine. It is so good job, Skipper.
Aggressively meh.
I want to hang it on the fridge and tell all the people involved, you made a movie. Good job. Good job, you. It's not bad. Anybody who's slamming on this movie, no, you're giving it too much credit.
But it doesn't have the magic that the game did that made it catch fire.
This movie is 20 years ago, this movie would have ended up where it belonged. On a streaming service. Back in my day, it used to be the movies that they didn't get on. I don't know why my old man is a Cajun. I do not know. That's the way I do old people, and I know I've got gray in my beard.
A lot of people became Colonel Sanders there for a minute.
But you are old, yes. But back in my day, movies didn't make it on the screen. We looked down on, and they made it only to the TVs. Yeah. And that's how we would look. Look, Five Nights at Freddy's is exactly that. It is a streaming movie. It is a movie that's not good enough to be on the big screen. This isn't a case of, hey, what do we do with this big budget Martin Scorsese film? Okay, let's put it on Netflix, or in this case, the new one's going to be on Apple. That we know that nobody's going to see big budget Martin Scorsese films anymore, unless Martin Scorsese himself is dressed like Captain America. But we know we're not going to get,
which you would never do because of the theme park rides.
Oh my gosh! By the way, Martin Scorsese dressed as Captain America. I don't care what the plot is. I'm in. I'm watching that shit. Hey Tavia, what's up? On DVD player, that's where it belongs. Yeah. Look, if this was a movie back in the 90s that was released straight to DVD, you would have watched it. We would have talked about it, and it would have gotten famous because it was better than its station. But since now we're used to movies going either in the big screen or on streaming services, and we're supposed to treat them both the same now. Hey, if they're doing Oscar movies now on Netflix and on Apple, we have to treat them all the same. And with that,
if you're gonna put it in the theater, I need a theater worthy experience is basically the rule.
And if that, by the way, Tavia, yeah, I think you're absolutely wrong. I do believe you're wrong. This movie did not suck. If it sucked, it'd be worthy of all the time we've shown it so far. And in all honesty, if you guys really paid attention, we went off script and had to bring it back to Five Nights at Freddy's. You know why? Because Five Nights at Freddy's is the same as watching a blank screen for the same amount of time.
Yeah, but to make a somewhat conclusive point out of this, even if it had ripped off Willy's Wonderland, it probably would have gotten away with it, because you know what they could have done? Especially given that Five Nights at Freddy's is a mimetically significant IP. You could have done Willy's Wonderland, but harder, louder, and better, or bigger, and then it would have stolen Willy's Wonderland's thunder. In the same way that, in many ways, there are parallels between the movie Dark City and the Matrix trilogy.
Yep.
But everybody remembers the Matrix trilogy because it took what Dark City started with and did it bigger, better, and flashier, and so that was the one that got the praise. You could have done something like that if you had been willing to just go with the meme, go with the mimetic significance of Five Nights at Freddy's and translate that to the screen, but they didn't for some reason. They wanted to they wanted to make it a
Love.
serious movie. It's Cocaine Bear all over again.
I loved. I loved Dark City. I really did. That's an amazing film. If you guys haven't heard of it or haven't seen it, it's from the 1990s. Check it out. You will love it. I'm not saying, oh, you're gonna like that one, or maybe you'll like it. I'm telling you, this crowd, you will love Dark City. And
No, Dark City's awesome. But nevertheless,
there are a lot of similarities between Dark City and The Matrix. The Matrix is the mainstream, and the Dark City is kind of like the art house version. But the themes, it's a lot more cerebral than The Matrix is. The Matrix, you don't really need to turn your brain on to enjoy. They want you to, but for all the pontification that the characters in The Matrix do, it's very surface level. Yeah, but Dark City is freaking awesome, and it will make you think a little bit more. I don't care who the Rock votes, so long as he makes me feel that awesome feeling that she's exactly. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. When I hire somebody to entertain me at the movies and such like that, I don't give a crap to a certain extent about their past. I mean, I've been watching Sean Penn films since Bad Boys, and he's been fucking awesome, except for I Am Sam, all the way throughout it. Seriously, he's been awesome.
Well, this is the problem. We let the actors and the writers and the directors believe that their position was a prestigious one, instead of their position being the position of the modern day court jester, which is what an actor and to some extent a writer and a director is. It's a service position. It's an artisan position, not a prestigious or scholarly or intellectual one. And by conflating those two things, we allowed them to get this ego about themselves. Someone needs to remind, for example, Martin Scorsese, that for all that he might poo-poo the Marvel movies for being theme park attractions, the cinematograph from which we get the word cinema in the goddamn first place was originally a carnival attraction. The only difference between what they do, Mark, and what you do is you, for some reason, let yourself buy into the ego of it all. They didn't.
Well, at a certain point, filmmakers realized you don't have to just put a camera in front of a train and let it come at you. They actually could tell stories, and therefore they became storytellers. And you have your good storytellers and your bad storytellers. But like you said, we elevated the actor and the actress above all.
But even a storyteller used to be an artisan position. It was something a king or a person of means would hire as a diversion or as a advisor, if at the most. So,
just to move along here, did you see any movies this week?
No. At the moment, I'm just trying to. Well, I've obviously been revisiting a bunch of Halloween movies because, well, it's.
You know what? It's Halloween. We can talk about that. Everybody in the chat, if you've been what horror films have you been watching? What movies have you been watching? Let us know. I've been doing the same thing. By the way, I went back and watched the original Invisible Man from the 1930s. Before we move on, though, let me make a final note. Once again, this is streaming on Apple. I want to get that out there. Anytime we do a review and we know where it's streaming, I think it'd be nice if we told everybody, just in case someone wants to take a chance. It is streaming on Apple. I think it was Apple. No, where was it? Oh, Peacock. By the way, which is one of my favorite streaming services. I'm not being paid by them. I should be. But it's like $5 or $6. And it's got all the Universal stuff on it. So you get Back to the Future, the Jurassic Parks, and the Fast X. There's a lot of good stuff on there. I'm about to hit an Alfred Hitchcock marathon, as a matter of fact. I think that's how I want to spend my weekend. And maybe on Sunday do a tier list Alfred Hitchcock movies and such. I think that'd be a good time. But it's streaming there. Do I recommend it? Only if you're already subscribed. I would recommend you get a subscription because they've got a lot of good stuff. But no, I can't recommend Five Nights at Freddy's. I wish I could. I really do. I was looking forward to it. I do want to play the game, but I do not do not recommend this one. I Love Comics. They needed a comedy expressive actor to get scary. Could be on double feature like Ryan Reynolds and a serious actor like an MIB to get that would be better. I respect. Sometimes I have to translate, and I apologize, but Get Scary could be a double feature. They needed a comedy express. I do agree, by the way. I like the kid who plays in Five Nights at Freddy's. He's the one that was in the Hunger Games, and he was in
John Hutcherson.
Yeah, there you go, John Hutchinson. I actually do like him. As a matter of fact, me and my wife, every time we see him, we're like, "Hey, that's that kid from Kicking and Screaming." Okay. By the way, probably one of Will Ferrell's least known films, but me and my wife love it. It's a guilty pleasure. So the thing that I've really thrown myself into for Halloween this last week, and I would have had it in the first 2 days if my wife wasn't afraid of binge watching. Like I could sit there and watch 8 episodes of whatever if you start at the beginning of the day.
Usher.
It was Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix. Wow. First of all, this was a hell of a lot of fun with the fact that every episode represents a poem and or story from Edgar Allan Poe. So you've got a child. It's the whole Fall of the House of Usher is the people are dying off. And one by one, and spoiler alert, whoever they're focused on at the beginning of the episode ain't going to be there for the next episode. But they do things like sometimes they even title it like Murders in the Rue Morgue. And then basically they do a 30-minute telling of the story of Murders in the Rue Morgue done in modern day. So everybody's fighting the patriarchy, and I'm just kidding. They don't do that. But it is, it's
well,
really,
I mean, a little bit.
It is really kind of cool the way they tell these each story from Edgar Allan Poe's bibliography. And I looked at Gail and I said, you know what's going to happen? And she goes, what? I said, we're going to get to the end of this show. And then I forget the actor. He did Batman a couple of times, but he plays the head of the House of Usher. I said, we're going to get to the end of the show. And in the very last episode, it's going to become the Raven. And it's going to be him narrating the Raven. And boom, it was like, oh, I told you. I knew it. I knew it from the very beginning. But it wasn't the kind of like, it wasn't like I was waiting for them to catch up to me. Every story was awesome. And the cool thing is you could jump in and watch the middle by itself. Now you're going to be a little lost, but for the most part, you're going to get that story because they explain everything that's going on before and after. And one of the really cool things I like about, and this just blew my fucking mind because I've watched this guy since 1977 and never once has Mark Hamill ever been the tough guy. Ever. But in Fall of House of Usher, he's the motherfucking tough guy at age 70. And you know what? He pulls it off. He really does. So
when he was the lawyer, yeah.
You've seen the show?
Me and Mr. E watched it actually when it dropped.
Oh,
we were hanging out and we watched it.
Mark Hamill freaking blew me away because people.
And then I did a video elucidating or putting a finer point on who Verna was. Because they leave it ambiguous until.
Okay, hold on to that because I'm still raving. Mark Hamill's character is one that everybody's afraid of, and at one point they actually explain why. And it's like, oh, okay, and he's the only one that beats the devil, and I thought that was awesome. I'm sure you're going to tell us who you actually think she was, but I was like, okay, there's some.
Again, I did a video. It only got 18 views. I would like it to get more views. So if you watch Fall of the House of Usher, go over to my channel, and when you inevitably get to the end and are confused as to who exactly Verna is, go over to my channel and. But
he got the temptation. He was like, I'm good. It's like,
and the
but if
funny
you
thing
don't
is, I
take
think
my,
she respected him for that. Like
yeah,
she actually respected him for that. Like, okay, yeah, sure.
yeah, it was really cool like that. It was like, yeah, she lays it out. She goes, look, you're either going to take my deal or this is what's going to happen. You're going to end up in prison. You're going to be walked around. You're going to die in prison. You're going to have a hard life from here on in. And he looks at her and there's a little more dialogue and he just goes, yeah, I'm good. I'll play my hand. And I love that, man. That was awesome. Let's see.
Similar to when the little girl bites it finally, and she kind of has this moment of, there are parts of this job I don't like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's not spoil too much. I just said everybody they focus on dies at the end of their episode, but yeah, let me not spoil anything for you. No, actually, they announced that at the beginning. Right at the very beginning, he says, my kids are dead, blah, blah, blah. Here we go. And then it's
told through flashbacks, but it actually works for once.
Yeah. You still feel the tension and such. Let me see what we got. I'm glad you enjoyed FNAF more than I did. Well, that's the thing, Tevia. I mean, I didn't. It was okay. What I'm saying is I think you give it too much credit. I think you liked it better than I did. Just through hating it, you gave it more emotion than I did.
You have to try in order to fail. You
found more stuff to emote with Five Nights at Freddy's than I did. I absolutely, at the beginning, I was enjoying it, but then it was like, and then it was just flatline. There's no more. And that's something I actually believe. Somebody who truly hates a movie actually loves it more than somebody who's just indifferent.
Because you invested.
Yeah. Okay, let's
see.
Have watch Friday the 13th YouTube special, Never Hike Alone Part 2. Good so far. I didn't know it was a Friday the 13th thing. I love Friday the 13th. There is a I think it's like Camp Blood or something like that. But it is it's like a 6-hour miniseries or a 6-hour documentary about the Friday the 13th movies. They've actually got one called Never Sleep Again, which does do the nightmare movies. But this one goes from film to film to film to film, talking about how they were made. They have interviews with all the cast members and such. And it is amazing. I love that documentary. I watch it annually at Halloween. Same with the Never Sleeps Again. They're just amazing documentaries. But I'll give this one a try. Never Hike Alone. That seems good. LK saying, I just finished watching it. It was an interesting approach. It wasn't a horror movie. Not sure what it was. Didn't hate it. Didn't love it. LK, jump